today we're going to cover the final phase, phase 3 of the 0 to 100 Blue program, which is the program I do with all new beginners to weight training at my gym. People who are often quite conscious, they've never lifted weights before and are afraid of what to expect. This is the perfect program for you. So in the first two phases we covered a lot of machine exercises and making sure we're getting good technique and getting our mind inside the muscle for a lot of the basic lifts like rows, squats, hip thrusts, hamstring curls and isolation arm exercises. So the changes for phase 3 for the lower body exercises are, first of all, the first deadlift variation that most of my clients do, which is the Kettlebell RDL. So the Kettlebell RDL is a great exercise for teaching the hip hinge, but as a personal trainer, Kettlebell RDL is a great first exercise for me to go to teach people how to contract their glutes at the top of the movement. It also has a prowler push in it, which is the first time a lot of my clients are exposed to that feeling of feeling really sick or really out of breath during a workout, because it's different to classes or circuit type training. It's more of a high intensity weight training program, and the prowler push can actually bring you back to that feeling like spinning almost, or doing classes where you feel out of breath or you feel sick. But that being said, prowler push can still be a great strength builder for the lower body, and again, like the sled drags in the last program, because it's a strongman exercise, there's no eccentric portion, and the position that you're in, there's zero risk of injury while you're doing it, and you work the legs really hard. Other changes to the lower body exercises are the dumbbell squat, where you have a dumbbell in each leg, where it's slightly easier to lift heavier weight than the goblet squat where you're holding the weight up here. When you're holding the dumbbell in each hand, it's more like a hex bar squat. You don't get to go quite as low as a goblet squat, but you do get to lift slightly heavier weight. Again, heels elevated on that, and that's a great exercise for beginners still new to that strength training style squatting pattern. The single leg exercises are the split squat and the single leg hip thrust. The split squat slightly changed from the second phase where you have 2 feet on the ground, so while it's just as challenging when your front foot is elevated, it is easier technique wise. So with 2 feet on the ground, the technique is more challenging and it demands more flexibility. Another brilliant exercise and a brilliant single leg variation that really helps with barbell squatting technique, and one I really like to master in anyone's first 2 to 3 months of strength training. The single leg hip thrust after those banded variations on the first 2 programs is super for teaching people that hip hinge technique and really getting them to feel their glutes working properly, which is a very big challenge at the start, as most people would come in with tight hip flexors, tight calves, and struggle to feel their glutes properly in most exercises. So all 3 phases of the Blue plan have some form of banded hip thrust or single leg hip thrust on them before moving on to the barbell hip thrust, which is a big favourite here, especially for women looking to develop their glutes. As this is the final part of the Blue program, so you'll have done 12 weeks on completing this program, you will have noticed that there's a lot of exercises for posture, so a lot of rows and a lot of back exercises and a lot of exercises for the rear delts, like face pulls, band pull aparts and Y raises. You'll also notice there's a lot of work for the posterior chain in general in the lower body. So your glutes and hamstrings are worked thoroughly in every session for the full 12 weeks. If you take care of your posture in your upper body and making sure that your glutes and hamstrings are worked really hard, the other exercises like squats and presses tend to take care of themselves. The presses rely heavily on upper body back strength. All types of presses, whether it's dips, barbell presses, dumbbells or shoulder presses, rely heavily on your having good posture and making sure your lats are quite strong, as they're key shoulder stabilizers. If you do a program like this, you'll absolutely nail posture, and your posture will be far improved and you'll be able to press far more safely. As that's where a lot of people get injured when they're new to strength training, is pressing with bad posture and bad technique. Also similarly for the lower body, when a lot of people are new to strength training, they feel their lower back's very tight. Across this program, between the stretching out of the hip flexors, doing a lot of single leg movements, and then really training hard the glutes and hamstrings, and really burn in each session in a way you've never felt them before, you'll have far safer technique for squats and deadlifts moving forward, which may be the best exercises in driving transformation in your physique, but they really have to be done safely, and they're only going to be done safely if you get really comfortable with those single leg exercises, strongman exercises, and making sure you feel your glutes and hamstrings taking their fair share of the load. This is a great program. Make sure you follow the key principles, that you never sacrifice extra weight or extra reps at the expense of good technique. Make sure that you're progressively overloading the weight and reps nonetheless, week by week, which is very realistic for a new trainee or someone new to this style of strength training, and make sure you enjoy it. That's a key factor in so much of strength training, is that you get in, get out in 40, 50 minutes, and that you enjoy your training, that you're progressing from session to session. There's no reason for anyone not to be progressing with their strength week to week and month to month inside their first 2 years of strength training. If you're not, it's a flaw with technique, it's a flaw with program design, or it's just simply you're not working hard enough. So get in, work really, really hard. You'll find yourself enjoying the exercises far more when you are pushing yourself to the limit. And if you give this program a try yourself, don't be afraid to tag me in some of the exercises or send some videos on to me, and I'll help you as best I can with your technique in any of the exercises or any questions you have regarding weight or anything else individual to your case. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.